Uh, Very good evening, guys. Very warm welcome to the second episode of Meet the Master Craftsman. This is a platform which we have started where we would like to introduce to you many of our alumni who have slowly built their life and career in photography. And they will be coming and sharing their experiences, the hard work they've put in, the kind of work they've done. Uh, Many of them are very silent, very low-key workers, and they have not really gone out and done big-time PR and stuff like that. So these are the quiet guys who've been working behind the scenes, doing a very good job, and we felt that we would like to introduce these kind of students of ours who won awards, who worked on difficult assignments and stuff like that. So today I'm going to bring in a young lady, Amruta Karnik. She finished her studies quite some time back. In fact, she started, can I have the next slide, please? So basically, Amruta is a food and lifestyle photographer. She is, of course, based in Mumbai. She completed the Master Craftsman diploma, and then she slowly moved ahead, even went and specialized in certain stuff. And in the process, she has made a small mark in the industry, but having done very decent, very good work. And this is my way of encouraging my ex-students, and bringing them out in the front that, the idea was, for how long will you keep on doing your thing? I know you're doing great stuff and you're happy with what you're doing, but you need to be up there, out in the market, let people know what you're doing, because that's how it works, right? So she was awarded Master Craftsman when she was completing a Master Craftsman. At the graduation time, when they put up their portfolio and books and the magazine images and all, she was selected by external faculties, that is professional photographers who've been working for decades. They were the judges, and they came and judged her as one of the Master Craftsman Photographer of the Year, which basically means she was the top photographer of that batch. She also won the Top Gun Award, which means she also got the highest marks in that judging. Yeah. So she has started winning awards right from the school time, and then she went and got an International Photo Award for a food photographer in 2016. Winner in food photography category, Konica Minolta Picturesque Photography Awards 2017. She's been honorable mentions, plenty of them, in 11th Annual Color Awards, Beverly Hills, USA, a nomination in 12th Color Award, 13th Color Award, So she's been doing a lot of stuff, been winning a lot of awards. Next, please. Okay. The kind of client she has handled. Now, this is where when I was looking at her profile, I was quite zapped, because she's worked with some of the biggest names in the industry and she's kept it so quiet, So one other thing that made me decide on her today for today's second episode was that, okay, I need to bring her in the front, but look at the clients she's working with. Madova Donuts, Tata NX, Parle, Food Hall, McCaffeine, the Green Snack Company, Big Bazaar, Brew, Sun Churros, Falcon Dates, HDFC Bank, Cambay Tigers, Papa Cream, and Birdie's Cake Shop, to name a few. So the kind of work she's done is quite vast, quite decent. As she's been working with them on a regular basis. It's not like a one-time thing that they did. Yeah, next. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Amruta into the picture. Hi, Amruta, how are you?
Hello, sir. All good. How are you?
Long time no see, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
No, but I'm glad. I'm glad that you could make it. And we're going to do a little bit of chat here. Don't worry about it being like a question answer or something like that. It's more going to be informal and chatty. What we're going to do is go through how, you moved in your career path and your life and everything, one by one, and show the people how you worked and what you accomplished, whatever, chota chota work which we do, but people have no idea what we do. I mean, even sometimes even people don't even know what I do. And I'm supposed to be the master who's supposed to be good, very good in marketing, but no, I'm not really. I do not like to tom. But having said that, I would definitely love my students to do it. So the first thing that I want to start you with is you, if I remember right, you went to, I think, JJ or the Raija.
I was in Raija.
Raija. And that means you completed your degree in graphic arts and stuff like that. Yeah. Now, you already had a degree in graphic arts and everything. What made you feel like getting into professional photography?
So since my childhood had been always inclined towards art, and my parents were always keen on putting me through a formal training in the art field. So I come from a background with finance and banking and everybody into jobs. So I never had anybody who would guide me what to do in the art field. So my parents always had went through different colleges and went through different courses, what we can put her after her 10, because they were pretty sure I'm not going to do a banking job like them, or go and sit into a 9 to 5 cubicle and do things like that. So I finished my art like basics in school. I did my elementary intermediate exams. I passed, and then my mom decided that I should get into LS Raija School of Art, where I could study commercial arts and get into advertising and stuff. So there, in the second year of schooling, we were to decide if I should go for painting or I should go for photography. So I was very much inclined towards photography since like I think 8th or 9th standard. And my father had gifted me a small camera, and he was very keen that I should really experiment my skills in photography and all. So yeah, so second year I decided that let's go with photography and take a formal training in that. So there we just covered the basics at Raheja, and that was more of advertising and a mix of photography basics. So it was not a very in-depth course where I could really say that, oh, I can pass out from Raheja and then get into full-time photography. So I was very sure that I needed more training, more formal training, more mentors to guide me in this field. So, and always like my mom and dad, they were very much keen on putting me into a photography school as well. Like they have always supported me to do what I love and love what you do. So that's been their mantra, and that's what I've been following all these years. So then, while I was studying in Raheja, there was a senior of mine who had already taken up a course in Shari. So that's how I found out about Shari. And so I spoke to mom, dad about it, that once I finish my commercial arts, let me get into this course. So yeah, so they figured out everything. They liked the course. We met you, and then we got into the course. I enrolled for the 2 years course, which I think is the best decision I've made till now, because formal training is very necessary. Because back then, I think that was 2006, we did not have too many of internet or any of these YouTube things which we have right now to look into and study and do the self-training, like self-teaching and all training. So that's the reason my parents were very keen on putting me through a formal training, rather than just starting off as a photographer with get a camera and start experimenting. So no, they wanted me to go through a formal education. So that's how I came to Shari, and yes, so 2 years were awesome.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed. The question was, because this is, a lot of people have this confusion.
Yeah.
They have one option is, of course, this is especially the today's younger generation have the option of doing some video classes or something, video things on YouTube or something like that. Another option, of course, is being an apprentice to somebody, that is, assisting somebody or something like that.
Yeah.
And the third, of course, was the structured course through which you go through in a formal education provided by a proper school of photography.
Yeah.
So looking at today's current generation, what would you like to tell them in the sense that experience-wise, since you're seeing all three of them, so what would you like to tell them, that which one really worked for you, basically?
So I think my design background helped me a lot with the basics of understanding the aesthetics of photography. Then the second thing I needed was the technical support, like technical understanding of the entire field. So that's what I got from Shari, because we had the best of the industry teaching us. We had visiting faculties, we had Euro interns. So everybody who's worked for so many years were teaching us. So that, I think their experience combined with their great teaching skills helped me create a very nice base in photography. And obviously, I think Shari has given us a lot more technical knowledge than we would get anywhere else. Like, I've compared students from other courses and all. So honestly, Shari has given us very, very in-depth technical knowledge. And when this, I realized this when I went out in the market, like after graduating, when I took my portfolio, wherever I used to go, people used to give us a different kind of respect. Oh, you're from Shari. Oh, great. Nice to meet you. So I really was so happy that that was the best decision of my life, that going through a formal training is what everybody should do. And of course, you need training on ground. Like, you have to assist somebody for at least 2 to 3 years and understand what is happening in the current market. So yeah, so I think, people should, so whoever wants to pursue a career in photography right now, they should definitely consider taking up a formal training at least for 2 years. Have some design basic background as well, like do a small foundation course in design, and then go and assist somebody for 2 years. So that's the best plan, like 5-year plan for your education.
You are totally convinced that the structured course is the right thing for you, basically.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Now tell me one thing, Amrita, is being a female, being a lady, how difficult was it to get into the industry?
Honestly, it was hell lot of difficult, because back then in 2008 when I passed out, there were not many female photographers. So in fact, in our batch of 50-60 students, we just had 4 girls who were into photography. And I'm not even sure if every one of us is doing photography right now. So I was focused. I was very sure that I want to make a career, like lifelong career in this. And so I thought, let's get out in the market and just try how people react in this man's world, how people react to what I've been doing. So it was initially difficult. People thought I wouldn't take care of big campaigns, big productions. Even I started doing a little bit of weddings when I had 2-3 years of experience. So there also people came to me and they were like, oh, you're a woman, you won't be able to handle the entire shoot. So it was a little disheartening, but then I knew my work is very strong, and I had to prove that to them, that I cannot stop here. I really want to do this, prove to you that this is the best thing. What I do is I'm passionate about it. So please don't be like, I don't want to be a sexist in the whole this thing, but no, women can really do good in this field. So there's nothing about women are stereotyped that they are not technically good, or a little like not so familiar with gadgets and stuff. But no, I think we all women prove that it's not the case.
In fact, there are many female photographers now in the country doing very well. A lot of them, of course, are our students also. But we are seeing a lot of them coming in and different fields of photography.
Yeah.
Of course, a majority of them has somehow gotten more into the wedding part instead of the commercial photography part. But having said that, I think the girls are making a comeback. I think a big comeback. They are making their place in the industry, which is very nice. Okay, so initially when you got out of Shari and you went out and all the thing, how did you market yourself? How did you try to get into the industry?
So since I come from a design background, from commercial arts background, I had a lot of friends in the industry. Like they were working as visualizers, graphic designers. They were working as art directors. Like I had seniors who were already on good positions where I would send my portfolios to them, get connected with agencies like Lintas. I got some nice assignments from Lintas where I worked for Reliance. I worked for Tata Vyron. Then I also worked for Pfizer, and then I did a few industrial shoots as well. So the initial first 2 years, I always connected with people like my seniors, my classmates from my commercial arts background. So that was one way I marketed myself. Like I used to send out my portfolios to them in the agencies, and they used to get me work. Second was Facebook pages. So I used to put up my, like, whatever assignments I did, I used to put up my work on Facebook pages, and people started following and people started liking my work. So that was very encouraging, and that's how I connected more with the agencies. I could connect with direct clients as well. And later, like I think in 2013-14, Instagram came in, and I started using Instagram as a medium to market myself. So uh, I wouldn't say that Instagram right now is the best tool to market yourself. Still, like, you still have to write tons of emails, you still have to cold call agencies, you still have to meet people, network with people, and actually show your face to them, because every agency, every art director, every senior art director receives tons of mails every day. So obviously uh, they're not gonna see my pictures unless I'm doing some exceptionally good pictures. So you have to be like exceptionally good to survive in the market. So yeah, so you have to keep sending them your work, latest work, whatever you do, latest campaigns you do, whatever. Even the BTS, I would say, even the BTS is very important. Behind the scenes, you have to put it up on your social media, you have to put it up on your Instagram, everywhere, so that they will understand what is the kind of production level we are working for, what kind of equipments we are using. And you always have to be seen in public. Like, keep posting whatever you're doing. So yeah, so that's how I marketed myself. So I've been getting work through that, and again, referrals. Like, one client likes my work, he'll refer to another company or another agency. So yeah, so that's how the flow has been. Like, that's how I've marketed myself. And then, as I said, being from Shari has helped me a lot, because they know that we are technically strong. Like, even if we have to do a certain campaign, they know that we know our lighting basics, right? We know everything. We know our equipment, the advanced whatever technicalities are needed. So we are very strong with that. And then the upper hand I have is, since I come from design background, I understand the layouts, I understand how to design a shot, how to compose a shot. So yeah, so that's how I marketed myself. Like,
Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to first show our friends, our participants, the 3 shots which we have selected from your portfolio when you graduated from the Shari Academy.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just show them the 3 pictures. You can talk about it.
Yes.
If you feel you would talk about the pictures, talk about it.
Okay. So this shot was done while I was making my final year portfolio. So we were supposed to put up, I think, 10 pictures on the final year panel, where external judges were supposed to come and judge us and give us marks for our, like, a final assessment was to be done for our yearly performance. So this image, so yeah, so I'll tell you how I started with building my portfolio. So first I zeroed down to like 5 photographers whose work I could relate to, whose work I thought I can I had to specialize. So I thought I was very much inclined towards food. Right from my childhood, I was very much inclined towards food. I used to cook a lot. I used to do a lot of experimenting in the kitchen and all. And of course, photography being another love of mine. So I thought, let's get this thing married, and let's be a food photographer. So I used to sit in the Shari College library, and I used to dig in pictures, like what I can start with and what I can initially probably take inspiration from and create pictures. So this was one of the images I got from it's an inspiration from some other photographer from the Black Book. So I was trying to style it, and I was trying to light it up in a similar manner that person had already done. So that was the initial phase of my learning, that I could only learn lighting from what somebody else has done. I'll first try to replicate the shots, because replicating the shots is such a huge task. Like, you can create your own, but you cannot really replicate a shot. So that's very difficult. So yeah, so this was one of the shots, and I remember I wanted to make this shot as my portfolio shot, and I used to shoot things at home. So back then, it used to be a struggle finding a place in Shari, that we used to struggle like 5-6 places, and every day go run to find yourself a place. So there used to be like 3-4 times I did not get a place. So then I decided, let's cook it home and start shooting at home. So this was one shot I did at home. And so what happened was, the shrimp there was turned a little dark, and the rest of the shot was nice. So I took it, like I shot it, edited it. Next day I went to college. I showed it to you, sir, and you were like, oh, the shrimp is looking dark. I'm rejecting this shot. So go back and come with a better picture. So I had to go through the entire process again, light it up, cook it, everything, style it, everything was to be done. I was a little disheartened, to be honest. Ki itne se ke liye sir is rejecting my shot. So I went back. I came back the next day. Same thing. So I was like, no, this shrimp is still looking dark. Go back. So it used to be a task for me, that I stay in Mulund, and the college was in Chinchpokli. So it was an hour of travel and everything. So I has to get ready. Let's go. I just hope that sir approves my shot at least today, because we were short of time. We were to create a lot of images, and going back to the same shot again and again was not really an option. So I used to try really hard. No, aaj to sir has to finalize this shot. So five times I shot this picture, and the last answer was like, okay, now this makes it to your portfolio. Now it makes to your panel. So I was very happy with that. So yeah, so the bottom line is not. Sorry?
All the master classrooms remember this phase when in
Yes,
the last, I think,
totally.
when I keep on saying redo.
That rejection phase is so bad, but then today I realized it was the best thing. So yeah, so the bottom line is that it's not easy to replicate anybody's shots. You still have to understand your basics in lighting. You have to experiment a lot, and only when you go through a lot of experimentation, you will master a shot. Like you'll end up with a great shot.
That's the only way to learn. There's no other option. If you keep on shooting, the learning curve is faster.
Yes.
You know, there are a lot of people who see a picture and they say, I know how to shoot this, you know. And then I said, really? Chal, maar ke dikha. And that is when you see them struggling.
Totally. Like even half a degree of change in the lighting direction, it is going to change your thing. So yeah, so that's what I realized in those portfolio making days. Okay, so
you want to say anything about this?
Yeah, so this shot, So as I was saying, we used to struggle a lot to find a place for us. Every day, go at 9 a.m. The college used
At
to
a
open at
factory.
9:30, I think, and we used to struggle to get a place there. So yeah, so one day I decided like I'll go. The first thing I want to do is go and set this shot up, and I could find a place that day. So this setup was really difficult for me then back then because it was shot on a bendable acrylic sheet with some backlighting, some lighting in the bottom, and so again I was trying to replicate somebody's shot that time because again learning. So I put this shot up. I think I'd spent already 2 hours figuring out where to light it from, how to do it, everything. So that time Bunty was helping me with the lighting, and so the place was like I think we were shooting 5-6 of us were shooting all together. Everybody's set up so cramped, like there was no place to move, and behind my shot, behind my setup was something else, like some other backgrounds. People used to come there and uh, take their backgrounds off, and was the whole setup used to be like, oh, okay, our hearts used to beat faster कि कुछ हो ना ऐसा मेरे shot को, like the entire setup. So this was the first time I was using a magic arm. I was using a magic arm which was holding the teapot, and the entire setup was a little weak, to be honest, because it was on a acrylic sheet which is bendable, and it was shaking a bit, the entire setup. So I was shooting, I think 4 hours down, and I had almost perfected the lighting. I was very convinced that this is the kind of lighting I want, or this is the kind of pour I want. So yeah, so Bunty was like, okay, done. This is the last one you have to do, and be done with it. Like, get done with it. So the moment I was supposed to click, I hear a huge thud behind my setup, and everything fell. The entire setup fell, including the lighting, including the entire acrylic. Everything fell, and I could only see a woman there, a female there behind, and then she peeps out of the background, and she's shit scared that Amrita's gonna kill me now. Like, she's perfected the shot and she's gonna kill me now. So that was Shweta there, and she was shit scared, and and she thought Amrita's gonna kill me now. So yeah, so 6 hours of efforts was all gone down the drain, and she really thought like she's gonna be mad at me. And the only thing we did was laugh, and she helped me put it up again. So yeah, so that was fun. Like we used to help each other create shots. Like whenever anybody used to didn't find a place to shoot there, we used to help each other with the shots and help each other with the lighting and stuff.
No, the
Yeah.
funny part
Finally,
that reminds me. Sorry, so you're saying something? Sorry.
Yeah. So finally, this shot again made it to the panel. So I was really happy. Like after all that chaos, this made it to the panel.
Yeah, I know. That's the time when I'm ridiculously critical about all the images. But you know what? This incident of yours reminds me of something. When I was on my feet and a photographer myself, and what used to happen is that I used to have a lot of assistants because I was one of the few photographers who had absolutely no hesitation in showing how to do things to assistants, because a lot of people like to keep it close. I didn't care. I said, "Mera nasib tu nahi le sakta." It's like that. So I had a assistant called Baba. His name is Kekashu Dastur actually.
Yeah,
And I told him, Baba, you remember? You remember? So I told him, I got a new pen today, Baba, shoot it and show me. It was this full metal, the shiny cross pen, the normal standard cross pen. And I said, Baba, I want all the highlights and everything perfect and everything. And he said, yeah, fine, Karo, I'll do it. Karke. Started up and then get the camera and all that thing. And wow, I used to sweat like no one's business when he's doing all this stuff, because he's really ridiculously tense, because he knows that I'm ridiculously critical about the shots. He did a 4.5 hours later. I'm like, what's happening? And he said, I got it. I think I got it. I said, terrific, you know. So I went, looked through the viewfinder and I saw that he had actually done a damn good job with it, you know. And just before I moved away from the camera, I kicked the table,
Oh God.
you know. So, the pen rolled off a bit, and you should have just seen Baba's expression on that day. He would have murdered me, basically. And he, you know, and he said, why? I said, it took you 4 hours to get that highlight. Huh? So now it will take you a little lesser. Now you know how to get it, right? You know, come and do it again and then show it to me. And that's how I should train my kids, you know.
Yeah.
So very interesting that you brought me to that thing. Anyway, I'll show you the third picture that you clicked. That's your favorite, I think. Grab one.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
That was a lovely picture which you did. Grab.
Yeah, this is the best picture I think from my portfolio. I think everybody loved it and people still remember this picture. So like
Absolutely.
after 12, 13 years also people still remember me for this shot. So this was shot at different places. Like it's a composite, like I think it's a composite of 5, 6 different images put together. And nobody believes that it's actually a composite. So the flame was shot separately, the crab was shot separately, the tongs separate, background, then the veggies separately, and the base separately. So I think 5, 6 shots put together, and again that vessel was shot again separately. So yeah, so this I think took me almost 5 or 6 days to create this shot. But then again, I was pretty sure that I wanted this kind of a look to it. And crabs, obviously, you can't really hold it in tongs and like it's not possible to technically hold it like that and take a shot. So obviously, it had to be all different shots. The smoke that's coming out, like steam that's coming out from the vessel, again that is shot separately. I was pretty sure that this picture I really wanted to go up on the panel because yeah, so that's when I was learning the compositing and everything, and I really wanted it should look like one shot.
Yeah, but it was pretty decent. I mean, you know, to think of this kind of a composite shot at that time. Of course, you have been taught to shoot this in a single shot now. Of course, but then that would, of course, require a lot of help from a team that will make it properly. So
Yeah.
you take it in a one shot. But if you're doing it on your own as a student, I think it's not a bad effort at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just the first two pictures that I thought I'll introduce to the people seeing the thing. Okay, now what I need to understand is that you basically chose to go into advertising photography, that is getting into food photography, product photography, still life, industrial, and all that kind of stuff. And you also dabbled a bit in wedding photography and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? I mean, how do you think it worked for you that you could do those 2, 3 different things?
Yeah.
Different genres of working and still not getting lost. You know what I'm trying to say? Because
Yes.
it's like this. A lot of people stick to one thing. Like right now, the poor guys who only did weddings are suddenly sitting at home doing nothing because COVID has made a mess of all their weddings, and there's not going to be another wedding shoot till, I suppose, October maybe, you know. But now if they don't know any other genres of photography, they can't even do anything else apart from that kind of stuff, you know. So how did you feel that confident that, because food photography and then you talk about industrial photography, wo asman zameen ka farak hai. So how did you feel when you went about doing that kind of stuff? How confident were you, and what did you feel when you did that kind of work? And then you suddenly go into product photography, which is to do with, of course, food related, but is an exacting science because it all has to be in an exact particular manner because it has to fit the client's requirement and not ours, basically. So can you tell us about that part of it? Why? how you juggled all this stuff.
Yeah, that takes me back to the college days because I remember like I in the final year I had decided that I want to do food photography. So there were other students who were doing other things as well. Like they used to do interiors, they used to do a little bit of products, and so their portfolio had a lot of variations. While I was very sure that I want to be known as a food photographer and I wanted to get into it. So I remember you always telling me, no, let's don't do this. You have to explore other areas. You have to do this. And I think today I really, I'm thankful to you that you really pushed me to do everything else. And you taught us a lot. Like there were different faculties who taught us. Who taught us about interiors. I remember doing automobile photography in college. We were shooting your car, in fact. So
Yeah,
that I remember. And so yeah, so knowledge about every field was given to us during that time, and that's when we could say yes to whatever came to us. Like my first assignment as a professional was Mad Over Donuts. So that time they saw my like majority of my portfolio was food. So that's how I got into food photography and got my first client. But when they referred me to other clients and when other areas like other people from agencies and people from the direct clients were approaching me, I never said no to any job because I knew little bit of everything. So obviously you have to be a master of one. You don't have to know everything. I don't want to be known as a photographer who does everything. But yes, it's really good to know everything, like because today, as you're saying, if I would have done only weddings, I would have been sitting at home doing nothing with no income. But today, as a food photographer, I can at least put up a home setup or put up a small studio setup somewhere and I can still earn. So you have to, like, right now it's the time to diversify and get into different things. That's the need of the hour because always one income is not sufficient. So if I was doing only fashion, obviously fashion shoots are also not happening right now. So whatever comes, I can take it. I can say yes to it. So I was technically strong in all areas. So I think college days has helped me gain work in the industry in different things, and that's the reason you can see variety of clients. I've done industrial, I've done products, food, and then I've been doing weddings since the past, I think 7-8 years now. Because we studied portraits, because we studied fashion in college, we can apply that knowledge over here in wedding photography and not do that typical weddings, but we have that artistic sense, and that's the reason we can create nice portraitures. And so yeah, so people are, so when people talk to me, what they expect from me in a particular wedding assignment is that they like my portraiture. And why they like my portraiture is because I light it up in a different way, and that's where the fashion knowledge comes into. Uh,
okay.
like it's helpful for me. So yeah, so I think for everyone, I would really suggest that you have to diversify. You don't stick to just one genre and say that I'm only a fashion photographer. You can always try different things, and whatever comes your way, paisa to chahiye sabko. So definitely, you have to say yes to everything.
Yeah. I had a student, Sakina, and she used to only be obsessed about fashion.
Yeah,
But she used to attend all the classes, and I used to. But while attending, she's like, like this, you know. So we should
yeah,
tell her, "Kare bhai, to should, why don't you pay attention?" They said, "नहीं करने का है तो मैं क्यों करूँ उसको?" You know.
yeah,
But at the same time, what I liked about her was that she used to put a foot there. She used to come there and look at what is happening and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
And then one fine day she came to after graduating, after gone in the industry, whatever, come back after a couple of years. She asked and she said, "Sir, can I rent your big aquarium, your water tank?" And I said, "What would you need an aquarium or a water tank for a fashion shoot?" She said, "No, I'm not doing fashion shoot. I'm doing splash." I said, "But I thought you were obsessed with fashion. Why are you doing splash?" मतलब
yeah,
पापी पेट का सवाल है, करना ही पड़ता जो सा काम आता है उसमें से कर. So, and she is doing industrial and jewelry and everything. And one of the people who I would like to bring on this is juggling marriage and kids and everything. It's
yeah,
very interesting subject. But Yeah, this makes this thing that, okay, uh, if you know all the subjects, you can always try different things. It's not boring. Life doesn't get boring, you know. Tell you what, now I normally have a habit of encouraging my students
Mhm.
that after you finish the 2 years in Shari, where we thoroughly put you through a grind, where we teach you the techniques, the lighting, and everything, but we still call that after 2 years you still only learn basics,
Yeah.
you know. And though it is a very advanced level of basics that we teach, because think about it, when you came to me and in 2 years you managed to do those kind of work which we just showed right now. In 2 years we brought you to that level very quickly. So there was no need that okay आगे जाके कुछ करने का जरूरत है नहीं जरूरत, but that's a different ball game. But what I normally have a habit of doing is that I push and encourage my students that after finishing the formal training, they should go out and either assist with somebody
Yeah.
or pursue more knowledge from people who've been doing that same topic of your particular interest
Yeah.
for decades, you know,
Correct.
which basically means that if food was your choice,
Yeah.
uh, my, of course, preference is that you would have gone to a food photographer, maybe assisted or whatever,
Yeah.
and somebody who's been shooting food for what, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years is it's a very different ball game. That guy can comes
Correct.
from a very different space when he does a particular shoot.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you did something about it. So I want you to talk about that part of your experience and how different it was, and uh, and the training that you got at our place and the training you got and how it worked as a as a complete system for you,
Mhm.
where you became you know, went strongly into food photography.
Yeah. So after Shari, I was assisting Sandeep Matre sir for a while, and there I learned product photography. He used to do a lot of he used to do a lot of shirts, and he used to do a lot of small products and things like that. He used to shoot food as well, obviously. So I assisted him for a while, and obviously, person who's working in the industry will give you a different insight in how to actually treat a client or how to actually work with a client. So as I said, after the formal education, we really need to go through, like, you actually can see what kind of campaigns are going on in the market, what is the client demanding. Like, you can actually sit with your photographer, like your whoever you are assisting. You can hear them talk to the clients. That's how you learn how to talk to people, talk to the people in the industry, people coming from agencies, the art directors, whoever's coming, the creative directors coming on the shoot. Then you also learn a little bit of business part of it, like how the photographer is marketing himself. So that's what I learned from Sandeep sir that time. After that, I was assisting Himanshu Seth. So there I was assisting him for a few interior shoots. So I got a mix of two, three things. First, I assisted a product photographer. Then I went on for interiors. And while I was in Shari, I used to go through the black books, as I said. So there I found a person in the US whose work I used to follow a lot. So I could really relate that if I want to be anything in life, I want to be like this person. So you have that idol in front of you that, oh, this is the kind of work I want to do, and this is what I want to learn. So I started studying his shots. I started studying his lighting and everything. And back then it was not the big photographers in the industry were not as approachable. Like, I think even today, in the age of Instagram as well, people are not so approachable, and they don't really reply back, or because they get tons of emails and they get tons of messages, and they have lined up people who want to assist them and things like that. So I at that time did not think that I can really approach this particular person in the US, and it was US seemed like a distant dream for me that time. So I assisted these people, Sandeep sir, Himanshu sir, and then I worked for a while. I think for 5-6 years I worked, and then one day I think so. This story comes from Three Idiots. So Three Idiots, if you know, if you've seen that. Who's that guy? Madhavan. He writes a letter to his photographer, and he gets an acceptance from that photographer to come and assist me and all that. So I thought, why can't I do this? So I thought I'll write to this person and let's see if he replies. So I wrote to this sir, Michael sir, and within I think 2 hours he replied. I wrote to him that I really love your work, and I've been following you since I think 2007 or something like that. That was about 6-7 years already. So I really like your work, and would you help me understand the lighting, because I really want to see how the international market works. Having worked here for a few brands, I really wanted to understand how international market works and how your lighting is and how different it is from here in India and what you're doing in the US. I really wanted to understand that. So within 2 hours, he replied, and his only condition was, I want to see your work. I really want to understand if you're really capable of understanding what I will teach you, what's your base like, and is it really worth coming all the way from India to US and spend so much on this course? So I was very happy that at least he replied, okay, because here in India, I've really not seen people who are so friendly on emails or whatever. So he was like, okay, come, show me your portfolio and you can come down to the US. So I sent my portfolio, and he was really happy that he was like, yeah, whenever you want to come and study with me, you can always come. So I planned 2 months down the line. I went, and he did such an amazing workshop for me. It was 1-to-1, and definitely it was much different, like way different from what we do over here in India. The way of working, their way of working is completely different. The lighting is more or less the same. I mean, the styling, the technical things are all going to be the same. It's universal, obviously. But then the way he worked, the way he planned his shoots, the way he was approaching clients and everything. So he used to tell stories about it. Like I was there for a week with him, and he told me everything, like how he started. He obviously helped me build a portfolio in that particular week. So yeah, that quite helped me a lot. When I came back here and started working with the same clients again, which I'd been shooting since 2008 or something. So they actually told me that there's a huge difference in your work now, like work ethics as well. And I think the quality of lighting has also changed. Like the equipment is same. The equipment has still been same. I did not upgrade or something, but there was a huge difference in the way I started lighting it up. And I think that really helped me. So yeah, so I think people should really explore with different photographers, not just stick to one, because what happens is when you stick to one photographer for 7-8 years, you become a clone of it.
That's
So
right.
I think I remember you also telling us that I don't want you guys to see my work and get inspired and just do what I have been doing. So look at other different photographers' works, and you can build your own style. So yeah. So I think yeah, that US trip changed my life a lot.
I'm glad that you made that little trip, because most of the time kids get a little overconfident because they have learned a lot at Shari. When they see their own portfolio on the thing, they feel, my God, I'm at Taj Mahal bana diya. You know, and when they go out in the market,
Yeah.
they feel a
No, I
little
think learning is
overconfident.
a journey. Like you
No,
have.
no, but the journey has to be put in, which is like I said, which is though I'm a tutor,
Yeah.
I encourage that the people should, after going through the entire base, because otherwise what happens is if they go to a good photographer, He does anything, you don't even know what he's doing.
Yeah.
But when you have that background, and then after the background you go there, you know exactly what the guy is thinking.
Yeah.
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 So that makes, I mean, it makes a lot of difference. And I think that you've done well after that part of it. I'm glad. I'm glad that you did it. Now, the funny part is, apart from food photography, you also got into styling of your food photography.
Yeah.
Now, that's actually a different ballgame. How did you prepare yourself for that?
So as I said, I have been always inclined towards cooking and things like I've always helped mom in the kitchen since I think I was 7 or 8. I used to make nice non-veg food and things like that with her. So yeah, so we have this history, like we have this legacy of everybody cooking in the family and all, and we always like to experiment. So since I was inclined towards food, I always used to experiment with different kinds of cutting things, different kinds of like putting up things, styling up even if it is a daily dinner or a lunch, I used to style it up and just try things differently. So after 4 5 years of food photography in the industry, I thought I should do something in food like this. Like I should take a formal training again in something. So I went to the other catering college, which is known as IHM. So there I did a bakery confectionery course and something into cooking. So there we were taught a lot of cutting things and how you can style different dishes and all that. So I always, so back then in Shari also, I used to style my own thing. I never hired a stylist to design my shots. So I was very sure that I want to do this myself. And for the love for food, I am always like, I study the food first. I study, I understand what the shot comprises of. It's not that okay, I'm shooting pasta, so ठीक है, stylist ने बनाया, she'll put it on the table and I'll shoot. So no, I never did that. Since day one, I've studied what the ingredients are, what the dish, where the dish is coming from, what region. That helped me to design the shot completely, understand the texture of the food, what exactly goes into the making of the food is very necessary and very important for the photographer to understand, because if you don't know what you have to portray, what is the final result you have to get out of the product. Like if a pasta has to look a little like half cooked or something like that, so you exactly, the photographer has to bring out the texture and that, how you light it up and everything. So so to understand that as a photographer, I think I thought I should also know detail about the food. So that's why I went through this formal training in IHM. And of course with referencing and things, with a lot of experimenting, just putting up things at home, just styling up the shot and shooting it without even lighting it up at times. Just the styling part, I used to experiment a lot. And then mom used to help me, like she is also a very good cook, so she used to help me with things. Then I made friends with other stylists and they used to help me understand things, how to style, how to get props, like what kind of props are needed, what kind of pairing is needed when you design a shot. So yeah, so I think this whole knowledge helped me as a food photographer, because uh, there are people who come to me who say I want to be a food photographer. So the first question I ask them is, do you like to cook? So people are like, no, we don't even enter the kitchen except to eat. We don't even enter the kitchen. So I said, how would you even become a food photographer if you don't understand what you're shooting? So if you want to be a fashion photographer, you have to be passionate about fashion, right? You need to understand fashion. It's not just lighting that goes into creating an image. You need to understand your subject. You need to interact with your subject. So what I do is I interact with my food while I'm designing it and designing the shot. That's very important. So that's the reason I decided to get into styling a lot. And there are times when I do, when there are smaller jobs, I prefer styling it up myself and shooting it as well. And since I come from a design and advertising background, I also can conceptualize the shot. So I think it's a complete package that I can conceptualize the shot for you. I can light it up for you photography wise, and I can style it as well. So
I mean, on the contrary, Amrita, what you've done today is something very nice, because you see a lot of people
yeah,
are teaching photography online and on that kind of stuff, and
yeah,
they feel that they can teach food photography in one day,
okay,
and
yeah,
things like that. And we find it funny. Now, what happens is you're an example which who has shared the
yeah,
amount of effort you've taken going abroad, having learned from Shari, learned from Raija, your catering college, तो कितना मेहनत किया है
yes,
to become a food photographer. So a
yeah,
lot of people think कि food is so easy, ये तो खा रख के मारना है करके. But you see, the effort that you put in is is something that what people should understand कि overnight कोई photographer नहीं बनता है.
true,
You know, and
yeah,
जो चीज में आपको स्पेशलाइज करना है उसका मतलब you have to eat, sleep, drink, dream that subject. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So in fact, you have surprised me at the sheer effort that you put into getting to be a food photographer,
yeah.
and I think you made us proud on that.
Thank you so
You know?
much.
Now, what we would like to also know is now it's just a short this thing, if you can, we could thoda chota question karte so that we can have quick this thing on that. One is, how much importance do you give to post production today? Now that you know you can do it in one.
So since day one, when I started photography, honestly, I've not been a very not been a person who's inclined towards post production because I the first I started photography, like I learned photography as on film. So that time it was really difficult. So I have seen that transition. I've seen the transition, how difficult it is to do all that. So that's the reason I think I just rely 10% on the post production. Like most of my shots are original, and I really don't. So there are shots where you need compositing, you need computer graphics, you need special effects there. But that should be 10%, and mostly it should be original. Like you should
Yeah,
rely on your stylist for getting you the best looking on your table.
table, yeah. Okay, tell me about your small experience which you had of writing for Classic Imaging, which is an industry magazine. And
Oh
I
yes,
think you did a couple of articles in that. You wrote a couple of articles in that magazine.
yes,
Tell me about a little bit about that experience. How, I mean, you have juggled a lot of hats.
yeah. So as we all know, life comes in a full circle. So the editor of Classic Imaging, Mr. Matthew Thornwell, so he was there at our graduation night back then in 2008, and that's how he knows me. So from that day, so he written an article about the winning students and everything, like for, I think he was in smart photography back then. So
Mhm.
that from then I'd been in touch with him, and he'd always approached me with like he's always asked me to write about food photography, wedding photography for his magazine. So again, having good technical knowledge helped me write. I was always fond of writing different things. So he gave me an opportunity. Like he was like, "Why don't you write a food?" No, initially he said, "Why don't you write a wedding article for us?" So I said, "Sir, I've always been known and I wanted to be a food photographer. So can I write about food?" So he agreed. So he said, we are doing a food special issue. So you write for it." So I said, "I'll try, definitely try." And I'm not an expert at writing, but then I do love writing. So yeah, so whatever knowledge I've picked up from, I think 2006, I put it in all together in that and wrote a small article where uh, you could understand the essentials of food photography and what exactly goes into designing a campaign or something like that. So that was one article I wrote for them, and then he loved it so much that he said, "Oh, you really have to write another one for us." So that was the second time where he approached me for wedding photography. So again, that was one nice experience. So he asked me to write about shooting in low light. So a lot of weddings happen in low light, like that's a challenge for photographers. So he said, why don't you write an article about that? So yeah, so that was another, like those were the two articles I wrote for
Interesting.
Classic
That's
Imagery.
interesting. It's very interesting. Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do now. We're going to show some more of your pictures.
Yeah.
And maybe you can talk about 2, 3 of them, if whatever you felt maybe it was tough for you or whatever. But we're going to show a couple of your award-winning pictures also.
Yes.
Could put it black here.
Yeah. Okay, so this picture was shot when I was in the US. I was creating my portfolio. As I said, I was there for a while to study. So this was created on a phase 1 P45, and so the photographer Michael Sir had challenged me that you have to create a very good image. You have to style it yourself and come up with a very good concept. So. So I styled it myself, and if you look at my portfolio, the shots that I have designed are all monochrome, like monochrome as in one tone, obviously,
Yeah.
which in the entire thing. So here, if you can see, it's all in the tones of blue. It's a blueberry desert, and it's all in the tones of blue. And to create an interest in the shot, I just sprinkled a little icing sugar on top. So from then I picked up this habit of designing any and every shot of mine and make it an identity that all monochrome shots are mine. And so if you see, when I do a coffee shot, it's all brown. If I do a strawberry milkshake shot, it's all in the using shades of reds and pinks. So yeah, so that's become my style now. This one, okay, so this was one image that won a nomination, I think, at the Colors Awards at US. So we wanted a very simple shot, and this was created with just one light. So there's a light at 1 o'clock position at the back, and I hit. So the front obviously had gone dark. So how do I light it up? I put up a mirror in front of the at I think 8 o'clock position or something, which bounced back the light on the front of the glass. And we really wanted a very minimalistic shot over here. So I thought let's just hold a strainer above it, very interestingly lit with just one light. And just keeping the mug didn't help, so we thought we'll just sprinkle something, the hot chocolate over it, and get a nice shot. So yeah, so this is one image that people have loved over the years. Like this was shot 4 years back, I think.
A lot of people don't understand the kind of campaigns you shot, but I think this is quite a popular campaign. You want to talk something about this?
Yes. So for this one, if you see, there are different products, like different variants in this. But then when you shoot something for a campaign, you have to have uniform lighting. You have to have shadows in the same direction coming. Since it is for packaging, you need to show the texture of the product. So the whole idea of doing a packaging shoot is when it goes on the shelf, the customer has to be attracted towards it. You have to see the photography, what is inside it, and that's how the person will pick it up. Otherwise, if it is not an interesting packaging, nobody's gonna even look at it. So this, I think the agency did a very good job with nice colors and stuff. And yeah, so the texture of what is inside that roll, that cookie, is obviously seen again. So if you see all the different variants, like the chocolate, the apple one, all look the same. So we had to go through a very standard lighting for stick with a very standard lighting for all the 4 variants.
Let's say it has to be in one format.
Yes.
You can't have something different.
You can't really move your camera. You can't really move any of your lights. It has to be there perfect, and nobody can just move around it. So this was all a composite. Like we shot the strawberries separately, the apples separately. Everything was shot separately and put it together into a shot.
Great. Next.
So these were shot for Falcon dates. I wanted so the client was very sure that they wanted a very bang on shot just for the product, but then I was very keen on having an human element in it, because that gives you a very different like it gives you an emotion. It gives
Lifestyle shot. It becomes a lifestyle shot.
Yeah, so you can relate, like you really want to pick up that date and put it into your mouth. So that's how I planned this particular campaign.
Interesting. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, so we are as we were talking about packaging. So if you see here, everything looks the same except for the top. Like even the styling looks similar. Like it does look from one particular campaign. It's not like it was shot differently. So you have to, when you're doing packaging shots, you need to understand how the layout is, what are the ratios, what is the paper finish which is going to be used for the final output. So these are the things that come into picture while you plan the shot. While execution, you have to make sure that your camera is on your tripod, your lighting is all set, nobody moves around at lighting, nobody kicks any of your lights of tripods or anything, because even half a centimeter of difference is going to make a huge difference on your final output on your package. So here we had marked everything. We had marked things around the bowl. We had planned which color bowl is to be used, because according to the colors of the packaging, you can't be using a green on a green, and you can be using yellow and a yellow. So the props, the raw ingredients, everything has to be pre-planned before you do the actual shot, because you can't go running. Oh, we are run out of strawberries, we have run out of some masala and things like that. So all this goes into the planning of your campaign shots or your packaging shots. So yeah, so the first thing we did was we had a meeting with the agency. I saw what products are to be shot, what is the final look of the packaging that's going to be. We saw the prints as well, how it was going to be like kuch folds aane wale hai us pe, or what if there's any creases that will go, like your image, is it a wrap or it's just on the front. So these things need to be understood before you shoot it.
True. That's good.
So again over here, sorry, go back. Yeah, so again over here, so the front, the things in the front are separately shot and the bowl is separately shot. So it's again a composite.
Yeah, that is composite. Yeah.
Okay, for this shot, this was for the product brochure, and the packaging. So the client approaches me and tells me that we have to just shoot a few of our packaging for our catalog brochure, and it's a very simple job. Let's finish it off in 2 days. So I said no, I need to see the packaging. I just can't say yes to the shoot. I really need to understand what your packaging looks like, what is the finish of your product, and I need to feel the product, like how it is, and then what is inside that also matters, because when you put something inside a package, it will definitely change the shape of it. So when you do package photography like opaque shots, you need to be very sure that what is the finish of it. Is it glossy? Is it matte? Or does it have a UV lamination? A lot of things are to be taken care of when you do pack shots. So when I went to the client's place to see the products, it was high gloss, and I said, I'm not gonna shoot this unless you give me a what do you call it? Mock packaging. Yeah, mock packaging. So they were not really wanting to spend on the mock packaging, because mock packaging would have had them spend on the printing, again the mock-up artist, and a lot of more things like pack. Agar original pack use karna hai to kya, we just have to put it there and done. But I said I'm not going to do it unless you give me a mock-up artist. And So there are times when you have to put your foot down and tell the client that no, this is the kind of work I want to do for you. This is the kind of result I want to give it to you, because spending a lakh a day and not getting the result from me, it's gonna spoil my name. It's not gonna give you the result you want. So let's just spend a little more and get this thing right. So yeah, so this was a mock packaging. It was not the real one. So this was mock packaging filled with things. I think we filled in cotton, and it was not the original product inside. And I think they had about 70 different packaging. Like it was, they had bottles, they had these glossy things. So for everything, we had to get a mock packaging, because even the logo, the rest of the thing was matte, but the logo was in spot lamination. So that reflected light a lot. So we cannot really shoot that as well, because your brand name is very important. You have to see, for packaging shot, every detail on the pack is very important. You need to see that. So yeah, so I convinced the client that we have to have a mock-up artist. Thoda kharcha badega aapka, but this is going to be lifetime for you. So yeah, so this is the shot. Like we shot it in a kitchen setup, and we put up huge skimmers and all, and shot that thing.
This is BTS which I'm showing.
Yeah.
Because you have a camera on tripod already.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you handheld the camera and you're working with it. Can you tell us why?
So I was just experiment with what kind of angle we would be able to, because it was a backlit thing. It was an outdoor studio. Like if you can see that there's a window which was throwing light inside a lot. Like it is, there's glare coming in. So I couldn't really find a good angle to get that nice horizon perfectly and balance the entire lighting and stuff, because the backlight was important for me, and the front of the shot, like the front of the package needs to be balanced properly. So I was just checking angles, and then I put it up on my tripod once I found the perfect angle, and we shot this. So none of my pictures, none of my product shoots are handheld. It has to be on a tripod.
We just run through some of your pictures.
Yes.
You want to say something about this picture?
Yeah. So this again is a portfolio panel shot. So this, I will say, I've spent a lot of effort on this. So today, if I show this shot to anyone, people are like, this is a complete composite, this is a computer graphic. But no, this is shot entirely on a camera. I think 3 different exposures. It's a multiple exposure shot. So I wanted to come up with a concept for this particular shot, because I didn't want a plain shot with just a bottle there. So eternity, what I wanted to say was, it was timeless. So that's the reason I created those Roman numerals on a chart paper. I cut it and I had placed it, the base is a glass, a transparent glass. Uske niche I've placed that cutout of the clock and lit it up from the bottom. The lighting is from the bottom. Then in the front, I think there are 2 soft boxes for lighting up the perfume bottle. And there's an acrylic sheet at the back, and uspe I had projected a sunset image. So yeah, so yeah, so for one exposure was for the bottle, one was for the sunset, and the third one was for the bottom, those Roman numerals. So that's how I got this. Like it was a multiple exposure. It was not even Photoshop. So I think this one was in Bangalore. So, so this was a challenge, because the client wanted us to finish the shoot ASAP. Like they wanted the images for something, and they had scheduled 2 days ahead of what we were planning, and ahead of the meeting. So I did not have time to go to Bangalore and do a recce for the store and see if everything is in place, or if the lights are in place, if everything, if all the racks are in place. So I had to really force the client to make sure that everything was correctly displayed. All the lights are working, because even if one light is not working, your interior shots won't look nice.
Correct.
So I took a 5 a.m. flight. I went there. I shot. The challenge again was the store had to be shot before the mall opened. So I think had 4 hours to complete the shoot, and I had a flight the same day. I had to come back. So I really had to finish that 4 hour thing and make sure that everything is in place. So even after telling a lot of things to the client, they don't really do it 100%.
True.
So you have to go really after them, that this is not right, that is not right. So yeah, so after like so much effort, so much team work, we got this shot right. Like everything is in place, all the
Effort, of
lights
course,
are
is effort is to see that all the shelves are with the right stuff, and it's not like one is missing. Not, you know.
yes,
I
yes,
think that lot of people don't understand that taking architecture picture is just nothing like just taking a camera, get the line straight and shoot it, and that's it. It
yeah,
doesn't make it. It doesn't make sense.
yes.
Anyway, next.
So this was for Big Bazaar in Kolkata. So again, same thing. We did not have time for recce. We went there next day morning. We had to shoot it. Same thing. The store opened at 10:30. We had to shoot it in the morning at 5 till 10:30. We had to finish the 3-floored store. So again, there I had to make sure that everything is in place. Like the mannequins had the best of their outfits, not anything is there, like no mess around. uh, so if you actually zoom into every area of this shot, you can see that everything is very nicely displayed, because at times when you go to a store like this, they just stack up things and go away.
True.
So yeah, so again there's so many lights in the on the ceiling, and the ceiling is black. So that was again another challenge that I faced, that getting the entire exposure in place was a huge challenge for me. So again, I think a few multiple exposures helped me with ceiling lights shot differently, and the floor was shot separately. Even the glow signs are a different color, so those were also a challenge.
Then suddenly you go into industrial.
Yes. So this was, I think, for Enaltec Labs or Alchem Laboratories. I don't remember. So this was, I think, 8 different shots. So again, the knowledge from Shari back then, you taught us to shoot panoramas and all things on a tripod with so much precision that you really have to see those degrees. You have to mark those degrees on your tripod, and you have to get that shot right, because otherwise if you don't really mark those degrees, you can't stitch that shot later in Photoshop. So this was quite a task to get it right, because you see so many things over there. Like there are machineries which have to be, the verticals have to be straight, the pillars, the verticals have to be straight, the people there who are working, they cannot be distorted. So even they have to be taken care of. So a lot of things put together, and we got this shot, like 8 shots stitched together, I think.
Oh, great. Any last word you want to say to any females who would like to become photographers in the future? Any advice from your side?
I really want more females to be seen in this industry, because women, this is not man's world anymore. So just go out, shoot, believe in your dreams, and I think go through formal training and you will be strong enough. Like we see so many women doing well in other fields. Like in this situation, you can see there is a New Zealand, there's a woman heading Germany and they are doing so well. So why not in photography? It's not as difficult. So yes, so I think we need to see more women. Can't have it as a man's world anymore.
Thanks, Amrita. Thanks a lot for sharing so much of your life and your struggles and your successes, you know, the hard work you put in. I am sure that people will will feel encouraged by what you've shared today. So thank you so very much. Stay safe and stay healthy. Good luck. And
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for doing this, and I'm really glad we did this.
no, it was fun. It was fun, in fact, to getting back in touch with you and going through
Yes,
this
absolutely.
pleasant memories.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you so very much, Amrita.
Okay, thank you,
God
sir.
bless you. God